Hey everybody, how is it going today? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I want to talk about the gold mining stocks. The overall market is starting to roll over, but the gold miners are starting to pick up relative strength. So I want to get into the price of gold and silver and then show you the best looking mining stocks that I see right now. Now, before I get started, as always, everybody, please remember I am not a financial advisor. All of this is just my opinion and for entertainment purposes only. Please make all of your own trading decisions. Okay, well, first off, I want to take a look at gold, silver, and the GDX, which is the gold miners ETF. I'm actually going to be looking at all of the ETFs right here, but I'm considering getting into some gold mining stocks. But before I get into a stock for a longer term trade, what I want to do is take a look at that sector, or in this case, I want to take a look at the price of gold and silver, since that has a huge impact on the performance of the gold miners or the silver miners. But right here I have the GLD up, which of course is the gold ETF, and this is the weekly chart going all the way back to when the ETF first started back in 2005. But if we look at this part of the chart right here, we can see gold has been in a very long cup and handle pattern. I think this is one of the more beautiful cup and handle patterns I've ever seen in the market. Whether this thing, breaks out to the upside remains to be seen. I think it is going to eventually. So I've been keeping an eye on the GLD and the gold miners for many months now, and just waiting for that signal to get in on a potential breakout of this cup and handle pattern, because I think if this does break out, it has the potential to run for a very long time. But if we zoom in just a little bit closer and take a look at the handle part, you can see the handle has been just pulling back on light volume, and it has been pulling back very softly, compared to the overall trend of this gold ETF. And it looks like it could finally be starting to round up a little bit. Gold is a very tough market for me to trade personally. Maybe you have a lot of success with it, but I seem to get caught in a lot of false moves with gold and silver for whatever reason. So every time I look at gold and silver, I take some extra caution when looking at their charts and taking positions. But you can't negate how beautiful this cup and handle pattern formation is. And if we do get a breakout of this pattern, I definitely want to be a part of it. But let's go to the daily chart and take a look at how it's been moving over these last, actually about the last year or so. But we can see it's finally starting to round up a little bit. It's gotten above that 200 period simple moving average with, some pretty good authority lately, and it's actually blasted through this resistance area right around 171.50. So that is a very bullish sign. We can see gold hasn't made a new low since March of 2021. It's been slowly kind of consolidating and moving up, and I think that this break above 171.50 on the GLD is, very important. And, as the market is rolling over, I went to take a look at these gold mining stocks, and they are starting to show some pretty decent relative strength. So as the market is kind of rolling over a little bit, these are starting to turn up. So if we get an extended move in the overall market, these things could, buck the trend of the overall market and, start to move up. And that's definitely what we want to see if the overall market turns down. But let's take a look at silver. Jump over to the SLV, and we can see SLV was a little bit stronger than gold, but now it is starting to be a little bit weaker. But if we zoom in a little bit, we can definitely see this beautiful inverted head and shoulders pattern, or rounded bottom. You can call it either way. We are getting a little bit of a test of this neckline right now. It had a break above it, but it has been selling off just a little bit. So even though I'm really liking the way some of these gold and silver miners are looking right now, they are running into some pretty heavy resistance. A lot of them are running into that 200 period simple moving average, but I'll show you that when we get to the mining stocks. But I think definitely the silver chart is looking very constructive. And if we take a look at the GDX, which is the gold miners, we can see the very same thing. I already have that cup and handle drawn on the chart, and it is, inverted head and shoulder drawn on the chart, and it is breaking above it. It's having a little bit of trouble with that 200 period simple moving average, but I think if we can get a move a little bit higher in the GDX and a few of those gold mining stocks, they're going to be above that 200 period simple moving average, and I think there's a pretty strong possibility these things are going to get into some nice uptrends. But let's get into some of those miners now. Alrighty then, let's get into these gold miners. I'm going to start with the gold miners first, then I'm going to get into the silver miners, and I screened out the best looking charts for you guys to see if you guys are interested in adding some miners to your portfolio. I'm just going to go in order from cheapest to most expensive. I'm not saying I like the cheaper ones better. I'm just going to put them in that order. I know some of you guys like to trade the cheaper ones. Some of you guys like to only trade more expensive stocks. I did end up taking a small position in one today, and once I get to that chart, I'll let you know which one that is. And by the way, if you do want to know what we are trading in real time, I do have a Patreon group. The link is in the description, and it's only $10 a month. If you don't mind hitting the like button, that helps out the YouTube channel, so I would appreciate that. But the first one I want to talk about is AAU. This one is only a 40-cent stock, and if I zoom in just a little bit closer, you can see this thing is starting to make a little bit of a base. It's kind of thinly traded for a 40-cent stock, so all the thinly traded stocks, take a little bit extra precaution when you take a position in them, because you know these things can really move not just your way but also against you very quickly. So always remember that when you're getting into more thinly traded stock. But you can see AAU has busted above all of those moving averages. So the next logical stop, of course, would be the 200 SMA, and that is up around 50 cents. So a little bit more than a 20% move from here for AAU. But that one definitely looks like it's starting to bottom. Next one is GSV. Take a look at GSV. Pretty much the same thing. Has been moving sideways since probably mid-August or so, broken above all those moving averages. Now the next stop is the 200 period simple moving average, that yellow line on the chart. And unfortunately, a lot of these are still beneath that 200, so that is always a pain in the butt to get through. So I'm not super excited about these gold stocks, but the fact that the entire sector looks like it's pretty much bottoming, that does excite me. So I'm definitely looking closer at these gold stocks right now. And like I said, I did take a position in one. But next one is VGZ. VGZ is a 79-cent stock. This one came up to this resistance area that I had drawn on the chart, and actually had a pretty decent reversal today. So that is a red flag for VGZ. But nonetheless, this is a nice bottoming formation, so I'm going to keep this one on my watch list. And if this thing can get above this resistance area, I think VGZ is starting to pick up a little bit of steam. Now, VGZ is one that has whipsawed me in the past, so this is one in particular that I'm always leery of taking a position in, but definitely a nice looking bottoming formation in VGZ. Let's go to the next one, and that is Goro. We look at Goro, very nice rounded bottom on Goro, and this one is already headed up towards that 200 period simple moving average. So you can see, you know, the theme that's going on here. A lot of these things have been bottoming over the last 2 or 3 months, and that's what you need. You need a bottoming formation for about 2 or 3 months in, you know, a bunch of stocks in that sector, and then you'll usually end up getting some follow through over the next few weeks and months. So that's what I'm hoping to get in these gold mining stocks. Another one is NEWP. NEWP is also very thinly traded. This is trading at $3.50, but only 180,000 shares traded today. So I definitely take some caution with this one. But it's definitely starting to make a nice little bottoming formation. Not the best one on here, but I didn't want to leave this one off, because definitely starting to make a very nice bottoming formation. Just one to keep an eye on. Next one is BTG. This one is a favorite among a lot of people, so I wouldn't be a bit surprised if this ends up being one of the leaders. This one also pays a pretty decent dividend as well. God, I want to say it's maybe right around 4 or 5%. It's been quite a while since I've checked their dividend, but it's always nice to get that dividend as you wait for the stock to go your way. But it's breaking through this resistance area. I had this on the chart for a long time. Let me draw this thing out. It's breaking through this resistance area and getting through the 200 period simple moving average this week as well. So very tough technical levels that BTG is breaking through this week. So that is a good sign for BTG. Next one is EQX. Taking a look at EQX, very nice rounded bottom formation and busting through the 200 today as well. So I really like EQX. This is the one that I took a position in. It's AGI. Back out of the chart here, we can see AGI has been fighting with this level for many, many months and is breaking through today. So if AGI can continue to hold above this resistance area I have drawn on the chart, I think this one could get into a very nice uptrend. AGI also pays a dividend, I do believe, and man, just a very nice chart, but probably the best looking chart out of all the gold stocks. That's why I ended up taking a position in it. Now these gold stocks, you know, they're known to have a lot of whipsaw action. You can definitely tell by this chart. So I just did a small starter position, and if AGI can continue to hold above this resistance area, I'm going to add to it. But definitely like AGI. Next one I want to talk about is HL. Take a look at HL, basically the same thing, but you can see this one is also coming up on that 200 period simple moving average. Once a majority of these stocks can get above that moving average, I think the chances for these gold miners rallying is going to go way up. So I'm going to be keeping a close eye on all of these stocks that are close to that 200 period simple moving average for the next couple of weeks and see if they can get above it. Next one is GFI. You see GFI is breaking above that moving average today, so this one was also in the final cut for the one that I was going to take a starter position in. Now I might end up buying several of these if these continue to get strong, so I definitely want to keep an eye on all of these ones that I was considering buying. Next one is SSRM. Can barely read my handwriting. You see SSRM is definitely one of the nicer looking charts, breaking out of this long rounded bottom formation. We got this resistance area right around 1875, and it has left that in the dust. So SSRM, very strong. I was strongly considering that one. And one that I was actually considering adding to my M1 finance account if it got down to this support area, and that is Newmont Corporation, Newmont Mining. It never made it down to that area. Now it looks like it's starting to round up. So unfortunately, if I'm going to add this to my M1 finance account and I do want some gold exposure, I'm going to have to pay up a little bit more than I wanted to. But Newmont pays a pretty decent dividend, and you can see this one has been in a long consolidation going all the way back to the middle of last year. So that is very bullish. You know, if you get a break to the upside, I think Newmont Corporation has a great chance of having a nice multi-month, maybe even a multi-year rally. So it's just a great looking chart. But let's get into some of those silver miners. And the first one I want to talk about is SVM. Looking at SVM, you can see it's doing basically the same thing as the gold miners are. Usually they do because they move together, but you can see a nice inverted head and shoulders pattern or rounded bottom formation, whatever you like to call it. Of course, it does have that 200 period simple moving average just above it, so we always got to be aware of that, but great looking bottoming formation right there. Next one is FSM. And basically the same thing, headed up towards that 200 period simple moving average, but it clearly has been carving out a bottom over the last couple of months or so. So nice looking chart there as well. Next one is EXK. See, EXK is breaking above that 200 period simple moving average today, so a little bit stronger than the other ones. Next one is AG. Take a look at AG. This one is making a very nice breakout today. That 200 period is just overhead, so that is of course is going to be an obstacle, but this one is high up on my list as well. And the last one in the silver sector I want to talk about is PAAS, and that is Pan American Silver. And Pan American Silver is trading just under $27 a share, but this one is breaking through that inverted head and shoulder neckline today as well. All right, before I close out the video, I just want to get into the market averages. Whenever the market is in a bumpy period, I do like to look at the market averages in pretty much every single video, just so we can get a better sense of when the market could be bottoming. And you can see today the QQQs is down about 1.5%. That's a pretty decent sized down day. It's not anything to get too worried about, but nonetheless, that is a pretty decent size move to the downside. Let's zoom in a little bit closer. We can see that this move today is breaking below that 8-period exponential moving average, which of course is very important for the short-term trends. First time it's been below that moving average in about 3 weeks. So this could be a decent sized correction. Let's go to the 15-minute chart. Go to the 15-minute chart. In the Patreon group, this is what I was talking about, was the the most important level for the NASDAQ, the QQQs. If we got a break below that, I expected a lot more weakness, and that is what we are getting. I did put some hedges on as it was looking like it was going to break through that support area, and they're paying off a little bit. They're not making up for how much I'm down in my long positions, but I have no desire to sell any of my long-term positions, so I might as well try to make a little bit of money on the downside. But if you back this chart out a little bit, this is the area that I am looking at for some support if we get there. If we get a breakdown to this support area, let's call it 382.50 to probably 383. If we get a move down to that level in the QQQs, I am probably going to be buying. I haven't been buying on this way down, but if we get down to that level, I'm probably going to be buying, and it might even be some aggressive buying. I'm at the very least going to dip my toe in the water and start adding to some of my long-term positions, and possibly look to get into some bounce trades as well. But that's the area I'm looking at on the QQQ. Let's actually zoom in to this chart a little bit and jump over to the spider, which is the S&P 500. You can see basically the same story on the S&P 500. Today it's breaking through the 8-period exponential moving average, that white line on the chart, for the first time in several weeks. You can see the SPY is not down nearly as much as the QQQ. It's down only a little more than 0.75%, so not nearly as nasty on the SPY, and you can see the volume is not real bad either. So not too bad on the SPY. Let's take a look at the DIA, which is the Dow Jones Industrial Average. I still got all these lines drawn on the chart. Well, let's just leave them on for a second. But you can see the Dow is breaking below that 8-period exponential moving average for the first time. And if we go to that 15-minute chart, take another look, you can see today we have broken through that long-term trend line and this support area that I was looking at as well. So not a good sign for the Dow Jones Industrial Average, but it's not breaking down on massive volume, so it's still kind of a wait and see for the Dow and the SPY. And if we take a look at the IWM, which of course is my favorite, you can see this one is a nastier down day. This one is down 1.5%, and it's definitely headed towards that consolidation. It's very important that we hold this consolidation high. I think if we end up breaking back down into this box right here, it's going to be another real choppy market to try to trade, and I definitely do not want that. So I'm going to be watching this very closely. Hopefully, in a perfect world, this thing comes down, tests the highs of this consolidation, and then starts to move back up. If that happens, I'm going to be very happy, and I'm going to be putting on a lot more risk, most likely. But those are the moving averages. Let's actually get into, let's actually look at my SQQQ trade. This is my inverted QQQ trade that I have on, trying to make a little bit of money on the reversal in the market. I think if we get a move up to this purple line right here, I'm probably going to end up taking some or all of my profits off the table, because I don't think it's going to be that big of a move down. I'm still kind of in wait and see. Today I was considering taking some profits off if it got down, or if it got up to the 8-period exponential moving average, but it was going down pretty fiercely, so I decided to leave that trade on, and it's still pushing through that moving average, so I'm glad I did that so far. And today I did end up making one day trade. It was pretty much the only thing I did today. Well, I sold some puts on some of my other positions, but this was pretty much the only trade that I made. Well, shoot, I did buy that did take a small position in AGI as well, that gold stock. But this was my gap up day trade. If we go to the 5-minute chart, take a closer look at it. Let me back it out here. What I like to do is buy on a break of the 15-minute high. We can see we got that at $10.80. I think my entry was actually $10.85, and I ended up selling rather quickly, probably too quickly. I got out at $11.34. It was only about a 4%, maybe a 5% gain, but I took a little bit bigger position than normal, and my internet was kind of sketchy, so you know what? I didn't want to take a chance of sticking in it in case this thing did have a big reversal, so I took my small gain. If I would have stayed in it just a little bit longer, you can see I could have got out, you know, if I did the trade absolutely perfectly, I could have got out at about 12.50. But you know, trying to call absolute tops, I am not in the you know, the business of trying to do that. I just want to get the meatiest part of the move and then move on. And you can see RNXT ended up just fading into the rest of the day. So normally when you get these kind of gap up trades, you know, I like to be in and out for about you know, 20 minutes, maybe a half hour or so, because quite often you end up getting this fade into the rest of the day. And being that the market today was pretty weak, you know, I didn't want to hold on to longs for too long as it was. So that is my trading activity for the day, and I guess I'll end it here. Okay, everyone, that is all I have for this video, so I'm going to end it right there. But if you have any questions or comments on any of these stocks, or if you have any other ones you want me to take a look at, please leave it down there in the comments section. I will get to them as soon as I can. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching my video all the way to the end, and until next time, take care, everybody.